Coming to you from Studio HQ, we're now back with the first episode of Sunder Katz for 2022. Why Sunder? We're going to talk about something different, and today's episode is no different. We'll be talking Heavy Metal Magazine Part 1. And why cats? Because we are, of course, the coolest cats in town. And speaking of a cool cat, I've got my man Manny. How are you, brother? How's
I'm
things?
good, man. I'm good. I'm ready to get the episode rolling. 2022, man. Let's start on a good note.
Absolutely. And definitely it's been an interesting year we've had. So it's really good to talk about stuff to take our mind off things. And Heavy
No
Metal
doubt.
Magazine has been a magazine that's been around for like probably longer than both of us, not combined, but each of us.
Yeah,
Came
no
out
doubt.
in 1977. It's like a pulp magazine that
Yeah.
actually has included many comic book creators over the years, from the likes of Frazetta, um, Mobius, Neil Adams, you name it, they've worked on it. But definitely, man, like many. Just honestly, have you ever read a heavy metal magazine?
I have,
In your
yeah.
life? You
I
have?
have. Yeah, no doubt. I actually got a few issues from back in Puerto Rico.
Oh wow, really?
Yeah, we get them there too.
Mm.
And yeah, they're very interesting stuff. Very different titles, but all excellent quality. Fun.
Yeah,
So and obviously they have good stuff. They've been around for 44 years. They
I
gotta
know,
be putting
right?
out some quality.
Exactly. And I mean, there's creators out there that may have had their kickstart in Heavy Metal Magazine. And little did we know, and a lot of people may not know this, but Heavy Metal actually had a movie that came out in 1981.
Yeah, I knew that.
And think about it, that magazine line was only 4 years old when the movie came out, and it was actually produced by Ivan Reitman. They had voice actors like Eugene Levy, John Candy. It was a lot of the voice actors did come from Canada, so it's a Canadian American movie, but the
Okay.
animation though was pretty decent. And as we can
Yeah.
see that this character here, which we'll be touching a bit on later in the show, if you guys are not familiar, and they're still pulling out magazines. If you jump into heavymetalmagazine.com, you can still pick up magazines. Speaking of magazines, I picked these up through their website many years ago. This is
Right.
actually the Jack Kirby 100th
Ooh.
birthday tribute magazine, which came in two variant covers. I'm not sure if you can see it very well
Oh
there.
yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's basically the Lord of Light the is the subject of the art. So that's the thing I like about Heavy Metal Magazine. They actually touch on just art as well.
Hell yeah.
We just talk about, it really treats it like a magazine, not just a comic book, which is cool. I think they're up to like 313 issues now.
Wow.
Yeah,
That's
I just got
crazy.
another variant from another cover that came out a few months back.
That's
But the thing I
dope.
like about Heavy Metal Magazine as well, when you do buy them, you can buy the digital copy. So if you can't really get your hands on the physical, you can always get the digital.
Right.
Yeah, and this is some artwork from the movie as well. So as you can see, it goes from real gruesome,
Yeah.
macabre, and it really is not a movie for kids. It's definitely not for children.
No, neither is the magazine.
Yes, exactly. And then you get animation like this, which is very cartoonish
Yeah.
as well. And the movie is basically a combination between art and music. The music being art as well, but it's just a nice, tribute to the both genres, working
Yeah.
hand in hand. And here we see some more artwork, which looks more like, steampunk or cyberpunk,
Right.
you know. And yeah, I'm just moving on to their website here, and here we see have you had a look at their website, Manny?
And I have to say, I like the Android version better than the actual website
Mm,
for the simple reason of what I'm actually seeing right here is that there's this Android version. Everything is busy, but
Yeah,
it's very graphically appealing. You know, everything looks
true.
really neat. Very
Mm,
the graphic artist they hired for that was really talented, and everything is
yeah.
easy to find. And I actually, it's funny you show that Jack Kirby issue,
Mhm.
because there's I was actually browsing the website earlier, and there's a article on Jack Kirby
Mm.
on his work for Thunder the Barbarian. So I don't know if you knew about that. That he was the
I
actual
did. Yeah. Okay, so this is the Frazetta page. Frazetta's
right
work on Buck Rogers. And if you look at Frazetta's art and Buck Rogers, right? And this is, I know
yeah
going a little bit off topic here, but his art style was so amazing that it looks like it was only drawn last year. It
man, I'm
actually
telling
is
you.
very, very decent. Yes. And
It,
going on to whoopsie daisy. Thunder the
yeah, there it
Barbarian.
is. Yes,
Two
sir.
good minds think alike, my man.
Yeah,
Thank you.
man. Hey, wait, you know, full disclosure, we didn't talk about this before. This is just off the
Yeah, I
cuff.
know. Off the, off the drop. So yeah, no, but again, I just appreciate this. This
Hell
could be an
yeah.
article in like on any type of magazine, but that's the thing when you get with heavy metal is it is comics. Don't get me wrong, it is comics, but there are tribute sections and actual article written like you were picking up like a a pop culture magazine. It's
Yeah.
so good. Like it's really, really good. And I appreciate this. I appreciate the love for Zeta, Kirby, anyone else who has long gone that is dear to our hearts. It's amazing to see their art living on through generations.
No doubt.
Yeah, and also if you want to get the garb, here you go. You can dress up in and like the t-shirts look decent. They've got badges and pins,
See,
hats.
and I love how it looks. It looks like a honeycomb or something like that. The whole
I know,
design of the
right?
page, man,
Yeah.
it looks dope.
Yeah, and if you look at the bottom tiles, that's throughout the display. It's like little triangles upside down, right way around. Yeah, I like it. I really, really like it.
Really cool.
The tiles just give it this different dimension, right?
Right. It almost looks like a piece of artwork as
It
well,
really
you
does.
know?
Yeah, shout out to the creative team who've created this website, man. That's amazing.
Yeah, no doubt.
All right, so we're gonna move into the books. I know and I mean, Simon Bisley, I think, will be known throughout comics, both in the US as well as the UK, having done work with, Lobo, I think his prominent character. And
Yeah.
when I saw this book, I was like, okay, kind of reminds me the image on the front on that robot gives me that ABC Warriors look from 2000 AD. It looks very similar to that.
Right.
Um, but definitely this has got Bisley written all over it.
Oh
But
yeah.
one thing I like about it, Manny, is the fact that we don't just get it on the cover. We get
Oh
it
yeah,
through.
hell yeah.
Yeah. What did you think of Brooklyn Gladiators?
I like it, man. Never seen it before, never read it. Again, like the four stories we're gonna talk about, never actually even seen them before.
Never
And
touched.
nah, yeah, the only one that I've seen was the well anyway, I don't want to talk before we discuss it, but
Okay,
anyway,
yeah.
I only seen one, but I didn't even know I was looking at the same character. But
True.
yeah, this was Bisley on all cylinders, man.
Mm.
It was insane, but it's dope. It's dope. It's just, you can tell it's his his like love project, I guess, because he's putting his heart into this thing.
Yeah, definitely. And I mean, it's very creative and yeah, you could see that there's like 100% effort put into this story as well.
Yeah.
I think throughout. And I mean, if you have a look at the art, it is from a glance, it looks really messy. But when you take
Yeah,
the time and have a look, it's just like a piece of art, right? You could
it
see
is.
a green, like a green painting with no illustrations. But if you take a deeper look, you might be able to see textures and things like that. That's what we get here with Bisley's art. Is that you don't take it for granted based on first glance. You got to spend time
Yeah,
and
and
get the mark.
it's all traditional artwork. So
Mm,
that's why it also looks it looks like messy in a little bit, but it's because everything is hand painted. You know,
exactly.
it's not computer coloring and stuff like that. It's yeah,
Mm.
it's a lot of work that went into each page.
Yes, that's true. And I don't know about you, but I think the lettering helps as well. I think
Right.
the lettering really had guided us on what direction it's going.
Yeah, and it pops because the artwork is so, you know, it's the difference. You know, the lettering is computer and it's
Mm,
very clean. And
yeah,
then juxtaposed against the artwork, which is it looks sort of messy. It makes it that much clearer, you
yeah.
know, to follow along the words and stuff, which is it works perfect.
Mm. And I like the coloring as well. We see here there's one panel that's pure blue, the other one is just like two or three different shades of red.
Red, yeah.
Yeah, it's really nice. Like
and
it
and
kind of
and and I think actually the what we're actually describing as messy, I think it's on purpose. I think it's because the
mm,
world they live in is so dirty and it's so, you know, grimy, and
yeah,
that's
that's
the feel
true.
you get, you know.
And that's what we want to see in the story because it can't be all like, Star Trek inside the Enterprise. Everything's neat and clean, and it can't all
Th-
be like that.
this ain't Star Trek.
Yes, exactly. This definitely is Star Trek.
You know what, this is like, to me, when I was reading it, it's almost if you mix Terminator with V for Vendetta and mix it with Minority Report.
Ooh,
And so you can imagine it's a lot of things happening
yes.
that from the cover itself you don't quite get. You can tell it's like, oh, like cyberpunkish or something like that. But there's a lot of things happening.
Mm.
Um, and it's almost like a cultural critic, or you know, the things that are happening in real life and stuff like that.
Hmm.
How the government control people and all this stuff, or that, you know, people's, you know, conspiracy theories and all this stuff. It's a very, you know, the story is not as simple as you might think. It's There's a lot going on.
No, there definitely is, and this is how a lot of stories from 2000 AD began. They began with the very political, and unless you were from the UK, neither of us are, and we'll probably be looking at this going, "Oh, I don't really get it."
Right.
But I think now, as adults, and we kind of get, the feeling of revolting and changing, going against what we think about our politicians and the way the
Right.
world is directing, we can kind of get it now. But this story has that similar contrast. It has that the world isn't a nice place. You're just stuck here. You know what I mean?
Yep.
You got
Yep.
to get on with life.
You
And
gotta put one foot in front of the other. Exactly.
exactly, yeah, that's true. But there's a lot of action. Like, don't get me wrong, you're not gonna you're gonna be experiencing it. And I'll tell you what, it was a roller coaster ride. It actually was fun. It was a fun read. I read it like in one sitting, like, okay, done. Where's
Me
the
too.
next?
Yeah.
Yeah, so it was lots of fun, man. Like smash and bash and robots and you imagine, right? And we talked about this off show. These stories that we're putting forward to you are actually in comic book format, but originally these were in individual copies of the heavy metal magazine,
Right.
meaning that these were just maybe 6 pages per book, 6 to 8 pages per book, and now they've been collected into a floppy format. You imagine having to read 8 pages and going, okay, what?
Yeah. It'll drive me crazy. I.
Yeah, it would. I'd be
Yeah.
taking a month for the next issue. But that's the thing I like about heavy metal is that we're giving these writers and creators some leeway to put little stories together and giving
Right.
us bite-sized chunks.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah, but when you want the buffet is when it gets really frustrating.
And you know what is funny? It kind of surprised me that in the United States we don't have anything similar. Which,
Mm,
you know, as long as heavy metal been in publication, You would think that in the United States or Canada, or that they would come up with a a version of, but as far as I know, there's nothing that I
Yeah, I
can
guess
see.
the only one that's comparable would be 2000 AD.
That's in London, right? In
Yeah, but
England.
even still, they still distribute to the US. So the US is probably the second biggest market when it comes to 2000 AD. So,
Right,
like, there are a lot of American creators going to 2000 AD as well because not enough room to fit everyone here. You know what I mean?
right, right.
So, yeah, just don't be too surprised. But definitely, if you want to get something similar, 2000 AD would be right up your alley. And nowadays they're not really tailoring it to like what only Brits would understand. It's actually become more mainstream because a lot of the creators, Jock, I'm trying to think of some modern, I think Jock and his name just eluded me. But anyways, Jock is probably the most recent artist from the UK who's now doing Batman and other DC projects. But he was mainly from 2000 AD.
Oh wow.
Yeah, so a lot of creators are coming from 2000 AD to mainly to DC, but also to other publishers as well.
Right.
Yeah, and and this book, never, never,
Oh
never, never,
man.
never would I think I'd be reading a book like this, right?
Woo,
And
wait,
I think
man.
about,
I'm telling you.
bro, like I loved Peter Pan, the Disney movie. This was
Yeah,
nothing like it. And look, this is a like another telling of the story of Peter Pan.
man. Yeah.
I don't know.
To,
I like
to, to say the least.
exactly.
Oh
The
yeah.
thing I did like about this book is the fact that it wasn't a quick read. I had to really go back to previous pages to understand what's going on because
Right.
it flicks between stories so rapidly that I just wanted to make sure that I'm not lost, right? But
Right.
I'd love to hear your perspective. What did you think of Never Never?
Man, look, I've always liked Peter Pan, but he never seemed to me, even as a kid, I never thought of him as a really good guy. I always thought there was something evil about him. For some reason,
Yeah,
I don't know. It's the way he laughs, or I don't know what's going on. But I've heard stories throughout the years that they're actually all the Lost Boys and Peter. He's just capturing souls, and all the Lost Boys are dead. So I have that vision in my mind. So when I read this and I see how bad it's actually, his name is not Peter. Is what is it?
Petros.
Petrus,
Yeah,
and he's so evil, man.
yeah, he was.
Oh man. Yeah, it'll mess with your mind when you read it, especially if you have that vision of Peter Pan and you see this guy, you're like, man, he's
Because
literally,
like you're right. Because when you look at Peter Pan, he was pestering Captain Hook. Captain
yeah,
Hook wasn't really going out. He was only going for him because Peter Pan was such a shit. You know what I
yeah,
mean? He was a brat,
yeah,
and that's the only reason why he's going for him. But rather than Peter Pan just going in his own way, he would continue to pester Captain Hook. He would
right.
keep antagonizing him, calling him names, and getting in his way. And
He,
yeah, that's true. It makes sense.
yeah, he wasn't really a good guy, as you know, a good guy,
No, definitely not. Now that you brought that up, that is so, so true. And I mean, if you guys are a fan of Peter Pan and actually agree with what we're saying, please leave comments below because, I want to know what you guys think of Peter Pan. But if you haven't read Never Never, whew, and if you are a Peter Pan fan, do yourself a favor and pick it up.
You get nightmares.
True. And I mean, even his costume design I thought was amazing.
It was dope. Yes.
Yeah.
But when you look at his face, he looks like a demon. He looks
Yeah.
like a kid, but he looks like a demon
You
almost.
know the point it is, even back in the Disney version he had point it is, but I've never really read Peter Pan, so maybe in the because I know Disney kind of softened up stories for
Right.
kids. I know Mary Poppins wasn't really a kid's story in the book, but Walt Disney kind of softened it up and made it cushion-like, and I think that's what he might have done with Peter Pan. I don't know, but I'm actually intrigued to know the
Yeah.
story because I wonder what kind of person he was because he was antagonizing. He was giving Captain Hook such a hard time that you kind of can see like we as fans are like, oh, he's a good guy because pirates are bad guys, pirates are evil.
Right.
He's probably just trying to make a living, as far as we know, and he's finding gold that some dude left behind. Like he didn't steal it; he just found it.
Right.
I don't know.
No, but in this series, in this Never Never, the fact that they can't die, right? In
Mhm.
Neverland, they cannot die, but when you see them fighting and they're so gruesome,
Yes,
and yet they cannot die, they live forever, and he has them basically as trophies. You're like,
yes, that's
what
right.
the hell am I reading?
Yeah,
It's
that's so
crazy.
true. So true. And it's
Yes,
kind of the story that I want to see as well. And look, I got to give credit to the art because I
right,
think if the art wasn't as clean as what we got, I don't think I would have liked it anywhere near as much.
right.
We've got to give a massive shout out to the creative team behind this because
I think
without
it's
their contribution,
what is it? Phil Buckingham and yeah, Phil Buckingham is the artist, and then
Mhm.
the colorist is Agnes Posa.
Yeah, it's got to give a shout out because without your coloring, your art, just making it so clean that it's like for people who look at the cover, think, "Whoa, that looks really, really dark and and gruesome."
And
But when you
I
go in, it's gruesome as well, but it's got that nice art to it.
yeah, and it's crazy because when I first glanced at it, the cover is so striking.
It
Um,
is.
and when you go on the first page of the actual interior art, I was almost thrown off, like, the artwork's not gonna be the same. But as you keep turning the pages, you're like, oh man, this is really good art too.
Really,
It's different, but it's really good art. It's not like you. Sometimes you see the artwork inside different, but it's disappointing. But not this time. The artwork is really, really good.
yes, exactly. And I'm so happy I read this. But in saying that, though, there's a lot going on. I just wanted to make sure that I was on top of it because I wanted to know why the girl was thrown into the water. May not know that until like the next issue, but oh my goodness.
Well, he. But what happens is as soon as she crossed over to Neverland or Never Never, how they call it,
Mhm.
he immediately turned on her. He was never planning on keeping her. He was just gonna eat her. So he
Oh, I
so
see.
he swung at her immediately. That's what she said. Get off of me! And because she doesn't fly, she
Yeah.
went in the water, and then the crocodile went after her. So it's literally the moment she steps on Neverland, he turns on her. It's crazy. I'm telling you, this is
Yeah,
traumatizing.
it is. It is. And also we see the scene with the Native Americans. They
Oh,
they
they
were
were
iconic too.
cool.
Yeah, that was so cool.
The Night Tigers.
Yes.
And the leader is actually, it's almost like Pocahontas if
Yeah,
you
I
think
can't
about it.
remember what her name was because remember she was like going to be a suitor for Peter Pan in the Disney movie. Remember the chief was planning to have his daughter marry him or something, or
Right.
I could be wrong, but I knew there was something. I can't remember if she what her name was.
I think, wasn't it Tiger Lily?
Could be Tiger Lily. Yeah,
Yeah, I think it's Tiger Lily. I don't think that's her
yeah,
name here, but I think that's in Disney it was Tiger Lily.
In the original. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's right. And
But
as
yeah,
you
this
can
is a
see,
dope
the
book.
art, the art is just amazing. The backgrounds, the coloring, like, oh man, got to give the shout outs to
Yeah.
the creative team. Um, but yeah, I mean, I was thrown by this. I didn't think I'd be like so involved because there's a lot to process, a lot of scene jumping. But it's not. But don't get me wrong. I'm not a big fan of scene jumping to that degree, but
Right.
this really worked. I really enjoyed it.
It did.
Oh, man, that was such a wicked story. Oh my goodness.
It's
I like,
traumatizing, but when I finished, I had a grin from ear to ear because I was like, man, this is so dope.
yeah, I was like, I had to message you straight away. Like, what the hell did I just read?
Man, you ain't lying. You ain't lying. It was
Oh man,
crazy.
yes. So the next story here is Savage Circus. I read about the premise probably like 6 months ago, and I was like, oh man, like only if I could had picked up the first issue and start reading it, I'd really enjoy it.
Right.
But this story, and like I just love the there's like an interior story about the creator who actually pitched the idea to get the book published and never written a book before in his life, and it was put forward to Heavy Metal magazine and they loved it.
Right.
And like this gives inspiration, guys. Like if you are a aspiring writer, creator, get it together and actually put it forward to publishers like this.
Just go
Like
for it.
at the moment, the only submissions that Heavy Metal take are the ones that are already created. For example, like if you and your buddy, do writing and illustrative duties, just get the book ready enough that, all they got to do is just add the finishing touches. But don't go
Right.
with just the script because they won't pay an artist to draw it for you. So you got to do that on your own accord. But definitely worth doing.
Yeah.
Savage Circus. Okay, this, as I said, this story really threw me. I actually was really excited. Brendan Columbus is the is the writer. Sorry, and the art is by Al Baranuvu. Oh my goodness
Barrio,
gracious!
is Al Barrio Nuevo.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, so good.
And Candace Hahn on colors.
Right.
Dave Sharp, known
Is
him
it
for a long time. He's the letterer and editor Joseph Illich.
Illich? Yeah.
Anyways, you imagine you've got a circus running in town that has the most gruesome, brutal monsters that the earth has ever seen. Real or fictional, they're the scariest of the scary, right?
Right.
And then you have a team of bank robbers who decide to derail the train, not knowing the contents inside.
Yeah.
Anyways, that's the overall premise of the story. But I like, again, the art surprised me because I knew of the story. And sometimes when you got like a detailed story or a story that involves a lot, you kind of expect the art to be just complimentary. But I didn't expect it to be this complimentary.
Shoot, this artwork is awesome.
Yeah, so you're a fan of the art as well?
Yeah, this artwork is top tier DC or Marvel any day. With the
100%.
Yeah, I mean, literally, it almost looks like Ivan Reis is drawing it.
True.
I absolutely love the artwork.
Mm-hmm. Yes. Yeah.
And
And like,
then the story is really cool too. The story is very enthralling, and I cannot wait to read more because
yeah, and
you
yes, you're right. And I think this would be a excellent TV series.
yes, a Netflix series. I
Yes,
actually wrote that on the notes. I was like, man, this would be amazing for Netflix.
100%.
Yeah,
Because
yeah,
I like the scene jumping. It almost has that cinematic feel to it.
yeah,
You got the sheriff, and then you got his brother and his mom. They're spending time for Christmas or having dinner together, I should say. I like that. It has that very, you kind of warm up to the character in a way,
right,
which is very unusual for comics because we like to expand a lot. But this was very much like introducing the character at his mum's dinner table,
right.
and why she's got all the books everywhere. I like that. It was like a nice little touch. And
And
but again, the coloring, the backgrounds and the coloring of this book is amazing.
yeah, It's a really amazing artwork, seriously. And it's
Yeah.
crazy because with just a few short scenes, it gives you such a sense of who the characters are, what their motivations are,
Hmm.
different subplots that are happening at the same time, like the bank robbers,
Yeah.
the one sheriff that is the older dog
Yes.
in the fight, the young buck.
Yeah.
He's more looking into seeing this girl, and he's like, no, you gotta be here for Christmas Day, whatever. Yeah,
Yeah.
there's a lot going on. It's a really cool, man. Yeah, like you say, a Netflix series would be amazing, but for now, I guess we just read the comic.
Yes, exactly, and enjoy it. Like, and you imagine getting this in an 8-page spread in one magazine? Oh, that would kill me.
It would, yeah.
It would kill me. I'd be crying. But even reading this book, I was crying at the end because it just ends.
Oh God,
And
yes.
that's when you forget that you're not reading a trade paperback.
Right. You just a
Oh,
single issue. That's it.
yeah, it's a single issue, and the finale is just like so gripping, and you really wanted to just continue reading. Um,
Yeah,
Again, like I kind of knew the background of the story just from the simple premise, and oh boy, I cannot wait to read issue number 2. Seriously.
yeah. Me too. Me too.
Yeah. And I gotta thank you really gotta thank Heavy Metal for taking their chance on this story, because
Right.
the editor read it and he's like, yeah, I'll put this in my magazine. Like,
That's true.
shit. You know what I mean? Like, that was so lucky. And here we go with the lettering as well. I love the fact that they're introducing songs. So makes it easier if you were to adapt it into a series. You just play the song.
Yeah, that's true.
And
Look, man.
it connects the panels together.
Yeah, and you know what? Another thing I really love about this Savage Circus issue, the covers, the cover and the back cover, it looks like a leather bound book, like a
Yeah.
leather bound. You can almost feel the texture. And
Yes. Yes,
I'm reading
true.
it digital, but it feels like you can actually touch the. Oh man, it's so dope.
Yeah, and in saying that too, there are a few storied collections through heavy metal that has a similar texture to the. But if you actually take a better look at the actual cover and the patterns on that so-called texture, you'll
Yeah,
see images that are related to the story of the book. Because I've seen other covers like that, and they're like from afar when you hold it far away from you, it looks similar, but when you look up closer, very different.
oh wow.
There's like little Easter eggs in there of things relating to the this particular story, which will be different in other books that are a different story. So
That's
I
dope.
really dug that. I actually thought I'm really glad you brought that up, because
Yeah.
again, that was something I saw and I was like, "What? This is just a single issue."
Yeah,
I
yeah,
was expecting to get like right, a leather bound, 500-page omnibus, but no, we don't.
yeah.
It's a 32-page.
Ah.
Yeah, I know, right? But no, no, it like, and again, heavy metal are not to be glanced over.
No,
Definitely not
no.
to be glanced over.
They're
Um,
actually they're actually one of the most respected publications in all of comics.
yeah,
Everybody that talks about heavy metal that never have anything bad to say. It's always
yes,
it's a
exactly.
lot of respect.
Yeah, and they really are not one-sided. They're basically like a neutral ground for a lot of creators to work together,
Right.
especially those that are working for different publishers.
Yeah.
And speaking, this is our final book, and I know you wanted to bring this up. You were holding your tongue earlier in the piece. Um,
Yeah.
But so Tana, so she is a woman that rides a oversized pterodactyl slash bird monster.
Yeah.
She was heavily featured in the heavy metal magazine.
And in the movie,
Yes, in the
actually,
movie. Yes.
and
And she's also
actually,
on the cover as well.
yeah, and yeah, actually, you were the one who reminded me who she was. I was like, this character is cool, but I've never seen her. And you're like, she's the cover of the movie, and I was like, oh my god, it's the same character. You're right.
Yeah, Tana, that's right. And I did bring this up earlier, and I want to explain why I said what I said. She is like the Mickey Mouse of Disney to heavy metal, right?
She's the
She's
Spider-Man.
basically the logo. Yeah, she's the logo, or she's the main character. But in saying that, before Heavy Metal movie came out, she was unknown. So it
That's
wasn't
crazy.
until the movie came out until she became like probably the most featured cover art piece. I think she's been
Wow.
on the cover art multiple times. Um, and again, she is such a powerful character. You know, a female lead, which is becoming more prominent nowadays, but not in the early '80s for sure.
Yeah,
So,
she's so her character is so complex. I really I've never read any issues of her, but I'm gonna look for more issues that that she appears on because she's dope. She has I have a feeling that what we saw in this issue is nothing to compare to what she actually does because from what I can see her powers are so vast. So
yeah,
I'm curious to see what she can actually do.
yeah, and I appreciate the fact that we've got a female writer in Stephanie Phillips telling the story. The art is
Right.
by Patrick Zurcher,
Yeah.
lettering by Marshall Dillon, colors by Jessica Collin.
Colin, yeah.
Yeah, Colin. Edited by Joseph Illich again, and cover art by Christian Ward. You know, it's just so good to have her as a character. Like we see 2000 AD, they still got Judge Dredd in their stories. It's still good that she's still featured regularly in Heavy Metal magazine,
Right.
given love and given new direction and storytelling. Um, but I just wanted to show this to you guys. So this is from key collector app from you get it through God, from your app store or Google Play. It's an app that you can download, and this is Heavy Metal, basically number one. $50. You can still get her first appearance.
What?
Yeah, first
Fit?
appearance, $50.
I'll probably get that tonight. I'm probably gonna get that tonight. Fifty
Yeah,
dollars?
$50. Yeah.
No way. Yeah,
Again, and
I'm
she's
probably
like
gonna get
the
it.
most important character from from the movie as well as the magazine.
That's crazy.
And yeah, so I mean, what did you think of the interior art
Man,
in
it's
this?
Patrick Searcher. The artwork is amazing.
Yeah,
Um, yeah, the art man is look, the colors are amazing. Um, the artwork it almost feels old school,
yes,
really well done.
yes, I
Um,
thought it too.
and the when I was looking at the inking, it screamed Joe Kubert, and Joe Kubert to me is there with Jack Kirby.
Oh, for
So
sure.
I was like, oh my god, this artwork is yeah, this is easily my favorite of all the four issues that we read. Man, it's just amazing. Every page, there's something to look at, there's so much to look at. Yeah,
Mm,
I absolutely loved it. I absolutely loved it.
yes, yeah, you're right. It almost has that vintage pulp feel. When we look at science fiction pulp. We were just talking about Frazetta before, 1950s, Buck
Yeah,
Rogers, Flash Gordon, those sorts of stories.
like Dave
Um,
Stewart,
yes.
like the Rocketeer, the old Rocketeer. Oh my God, I love that
Mm,
artwork.
yes, I know. It's up there. It definitely is. And I like the fact that we've got different panels. You got one panel of, the family, and then we got another panel of the flying bird
Yeah,
approaching. I love that. It's so good.
and there's some pages that are just full of color. I
Oh
mean, like
yes.
an explosion of color, and some other pages are like yellow tones and greens, and it's just a combination. Your eyes never get bored. You're like all over the place. Oh man, it's so well done, so well
Yeah,
done.
that's right. And also, there's a little bit of that throwback as well in the story when Tana is submerging herself in the bath, because she did that a lot in the movie as well. And a lot of the nudity was there. We get to see all her bits, but again, it's just in a way, it's not sexualized. It's just her taking a bath,
Yeah,
and I don't recall why she needs to do that. I think it regenerates her health, especially the
yeah, it
fact
does.
she's into the sun. I guess that's why.
Yeah, yeah. She's trying to cure all her scars because yeah, she literally absorbed the power of a sun or something like that.
Mm.
Yeah, and it's so tastefully done. Like you say, it has nudity and stuff, but it's not vulgar. It's super beautiful to look at.
Yes, exactly. And I think this was the colorful bit
Oh
you
my God, look
mentioned
at
there. Like,
that.
goodness gracious me! And this was just a page, guys. This was not a pin up or a cover art. Like, oh
That
my
could
goodness,
that could have been a cover right there.
this could have been a poster, man.
A poster, yes sir, man. That's so dope.
Yeah, you're not wrong, and you go through all those different elements. Go through even a little bit of Kirby magic there, like
Oh yeah,
kind of this looks like
yeah,
Kirby-esque, or even Storenko.
yeah. Oh yeah. And you know what is I hope it doesn't come out wrong, but some artists are leaps and bounds above the rest of the artists. Some artists are really good artists, but there's artists like Patrick Searcher that he knows how to use different tools to completely make the piece above and beyond. Right? He in some parts he uses different Photoshop brushes. In other parts he uses like zip tone and for the background, for smoke effects, for shadow effects. And if you don't know exactly what you're looking at, you barely even notice it. But because it caught my attention so much, because like I said, it just screams Joe Kubert and Jack Kirby. I was like, man, he used zip tones for this. He used this type of brush for that. Man, he did so much, man. Every page he did so much work. It's just, man, yeah. My respect, man. I'm telling you,
Yeah,
I can draw, but this guy is is above and beyond, man.
yeah, and you think about it. We look at this page here. It's
Oh my
from
God,
exactly the same artist.
man. I'm telling you, yeah. If you want to learn how to draw, look at this guy. Look at this book, and
Yes.
yeah, and this is a level you can compare to, and then you can be like, all right, am I getting close? And then you try to, yeah, he's super talented. I
Yeah,
tell you,
and then we see this clean-looking page as well, especially the middle panel.
yeah.
Just simple, but it works. My goodness.
And then and we're only talking about the art, but the theme
Mm.
of the whole story is basically it's almost like a metaphor that you help some people, and as much as you help them, they're never enough. It's never enough.
Yeah.
So
Oh,
there's
yes, 100%.
right. Some people you can give a little, and they're so appreciative, but some people you can give them the world, and they'll never be satisfied.
No,
And
and you sense that in this story.
oh my God, yeah. I was like, damn, she just saved her lives, and they're like screaming at her that she needs to do more. And I'm like,
Yeah,
what
give me
the fuck?
medicine, give me food. Like I get it, but
Yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy. It's just like I said, my favorite book of the whole of the all the four, and all four were really good, but
mm,
this one is my favorite.
yeah, like, and you're right. Like, I agree. This book was probably the best of the bunch due to the fact that it was the main character, and it was so good to see the main character have this sort of focus.
Right.
In a story that isn't like, how sometimes you read a Mickey Mouse story and Mickey Mouse was a character that built Disney, but then got basically pushed aside because some characters were funnier. It
Right.
was good. It's good to see that this character is still given focus, given a decent story that we can relate to and can
Yeah.
appreciate. Oh, yeah, this character's she's really powerful.
Yeah, she
And
is.
I mean, how fun would it be if you ever got to ride a pterodactyl? Like, oh my
Oh
goodness,
my God, yeah.
that would be amazing. But I just would applaud heavy metal for their amazing content.
Yep.
And like these stories were originally brought out as short stories and now put into a floppy that you could pick up from your local comic book store. um,
Yeah.
Also ask your comic book store if they've got back issues of some trades that they might have brought out over the years. You never know.
Yeah, I don't know. I would have to ask my local shop owner, but
Yeah.
I haven't seen him, and maybe he has him somewhere in the shop, but I haven't seen him.
Yeah, because I know with my local comic book shop, their prints are quite low. Like, I believe they only ship enough for based on what you pre-order. So,
Yeah.
like, if you don't pre-order it, then they'll probably just have to back order. They might have to contact Diamond to send out a couple extra issues, which I guess is annoying. But I just feel like heavy metal isn't given the love that they rightfully deserve because
Right.
people look at them, they're oversized magazine. Like, I can't put this in my long box with my other
Nah. Nah.
Spider-Man, Batman's, like, and that's unfair. That's really unfair because they've got stories in there that are amazing. And I
Yeah.
mean, like, you can still get boxes to fit magazines of this size.
Yeah.
You can, as I proved, I got a miler bag for it because, of course, it's Jack Kirby. I'm not going to have this loose.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, amazing, amazing books. Like, and I mean, like, what was the thing about the overall with heavy metal that surprised you? Knowing that both of us have never read it before, the stories were decent, but was there anything else that triggered you to go, oh, you know what, that was surprisingly decent? Or,
I just how different each story is.
oh yeah,
Um, just you can have a story about gods and a story about just bank robbers and a story about cyberpunk story. It's just so many things that the creators are given free range, and they
yeah,
just they deliver. They
yeah.
all four stories were amazing. And I wanted to say, if anybody's interested in getting them, they can go to the website. But I've seen them. If you're in the States, I've seen them and I've actually gotten a few copies in Barnes and Nobles.
Okay.
So if you go to Barnes and Noble, you'll find them in the magazine section.
Oh wow,
Yeah.
that's good. Also, guys, if you want to find Manny, find him here.
Oh yeah, right there.
Um, but no, it was been a great episode. And just one thing, one last thought with heavy metal as well. We mentioned a few names out there, like I'm not sure if Joe Cubitt's ever worked on there, but Steranko has,
Yeah.
Frazetta has, Neil Adams, Kevin Eastman, who was a long-time publisher. Tim Seeley has. He's now the current editor in chief. You know what I mean? They've got some really decent creators on board.
Oh
Even
yeah.
Grant Morrison has worked on there. I mean, you name it. You look up your favorite comic book creator, look up their name. I'm sure you'll find that they've worked in heavy metal at least once in their careers. So
Yeah, that's true.
definitely not
That's
to
true.
be overlooked.
And if they haven't, it's because they're probably too busy. But I bet you they want a lot of them want to work there.
Yeah, absolutely. If they've got stories to tell. And one
Yeah.
thing too, also older. So when heavy metal first got released in 1977, they were actually releasing French artwork from French creators but translated to English. So
Oh
that's how
wow.
they got their major start. So creators like Mobius,
Oh wow. Yeah.
Mobius actually worked on heavy metal in the US after, but he was introduced to the American audiences through heavy metal by translating his original work from French to English. So thank you. That's one of the great things about heavy metal is that without heavy metal, there'll be no Mobius in the US.
Man,
Like we would have missed out.
just for that alone, you gotta buy some issues.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Thank you so much. To Please don't forget to like and subscribe for more content from Comic Crusaders, and also check us out at comiccrusaders.com on behalf of myself, Dodgy, as well as Manny, Sunder,
Thunder, thunder.
Sunder Katz.
Yo!
We could do better, but anyways, have a good night, guys. Thank you.
Thank you. We hope you've enjoyed this Comic Crusaders production. For real-time news on all things pop culture, please feel free to follow us on social media. For articles, original content, merchandise, and more, please go to www.comiccrusaders.shop. Also follow along with all of the websites of the Comic Crusaders family. As always, if you like this content, please click like and subscribe to the Comic Crusaders YouTube channel.